hearing.
Good afternoon. It is Monday, October 6th, 2025. It is 4 o'clock, and this is the Jefferson Public Utility District Board of Commissioners regular meeting. My name is Jeff Randall. I'm president of the board, and I am calling this meeting to order. Jefferson PUD will be offering both virtual online meetings as well as in-person meetings unless advance notice is provided. Online participant audio will be muted upon entry. Please unmute at the appropriate time to speak, and if you're calling in, use *6 to mute and unmute and *9 to raise a hand or request to speak. Let's do a roll call. I'm Jeff Randall, Commissioner for District 1 and President of the Board.
Kenneth Collins, Commissioner, District 2.
Dan Tupper, Commissioner for District 3.
Okay, we have an agenda before us. Are there any changes or can we go with it as is?
I'll make a motion to accept the agenda as presented.
Second.
All in favor of approving the agenda, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Aye. Okay, public comment. So we have a public comment period that allows members of the public to comment, limited to 3 minutes each on any items not specifically listed on the agenda or for items listed on the consent agenda. Prior to any public comment, members of the public must first be recognized by the president and are not permitted to disrupt, disturb, or otherwise impede the orderly conduct and fair progress of the commission's meeting. After an initial warning, the designated chair, individuals who intentionally violate these guidelines through actual disruption of the commission meeting will be dropped from the meeting. Do we have any folks who want to make comments on items not on the agenda or on consent? Philip?
Philip Stover, District 1. I understand there's some changes coming in the transformer shuffle project. And at some point, maybe if I missed it, let me know, but I'm looking for an update on that sometime. Thank you.
Okay. And Joe, I don't know if you can address that during your manager's report.
I can.
Okay, thank you. Did we have anybody? I don't see anybody else in the room other than staff. Is there anybody online who wanted to make a comment on something not on the agenda or on consent? And do we have everybody in the room that wants to be in the room online? Shannon? Okay. All right, we will move on then. And just so everybody knows, we will have a public hearing as a separate special meeting at 5 o'clock on the budget. That is not this meeting. This meeting is our regular business meeting. 2 separate agendas, 2 separate meetings. Okay, so moving on to manager and staff reports. And I think we will probably have time for commissioner reports too afterwards. So, and we haven't done that for a little while. So Joe.
So this will be our second presentation. Mike is going to lead us through the budget presentation.
That's not now though, is it? Now is, am I confused?
Yeah,
I guess
5
I'm
o'clock
confused.
is the budget hearing.
Yeah, so this is
Usually-
just,
I'm looking at the wrong agenda. Sorry.
That's all
I'm
right.
looking at Shannon's. Okay, so I will begin.
always good to be
restart.
human and make a mistake occasionally.
Thank you. Let me start by answering Philip's question about the transformer shuffle. So the last phase, as I understood it, of the transformer shuffle was the transformer that had been at Discovery Bay was going to be moved to Dana Roberts into the second bay and put online there. Staff believes that the near-term need is to shift load from Hastings substation to Dana Roberts. Dana Roberts is peaking at about 16 MVA. Hastings is about 24 MVA rating. And so we have a planned modification to the system that will balance the load better between those 2 substations and be in a better situation to both respond to the cold load concerns that you brought up in the past, where when you lose load diversity, you have 4 to 6x what the previous load was for a period of time, which is more than the system can handle and will often trip out, and then you have to bring it back in small segments. So before this cold portion of the winter, before we're into the storm season, we anticipate before end of November, we will be in a position to make a couple of system modifications that will better balance the loading in one of the most overloaded portions of our network. And we believe that is going to be a better value proposition than moving the bank to Dana Roberts, which would have not unloaded Hastings. So that's where we're at on the transformer shuffle.
And just pausing on that, Philip, you of course are able to contact Joe outside the meeting and get more information on it, but just is that a good intro to answer your question? have a
Thank you,
little-
yes.
Okay, thank you. Because it is a shift in strategy and you caught that.
And there are more shifts coming. Okay. So the last week we had an opportunity. Tacoma Power allowed us to tour their Cushman hydro project. And so the Jefferson PUD executive team showed up at Tacoma Power's facility first thing in the morning on Wednesday, and we were afforded a tour of both of their powerhouses. They have Powerhouse 2 that you often drive by on the highway. There has 3 30 MVA units, and one of them was partially torn apart because they're rebuilding it. It's about 30 years old, that particular unit. And so we got to see some of the construction activities associated with rebuilding a 30 MVA generator. Then we went up to see some fish activity. So Tacoma grows about 4 different species of fish in their hatcheries there. And we saw their fisheries team releasing a number of, was it steelhead or was it, I forget the species. Sockeye. Thank you, Gene. The sockeye was being released into the reservoir. And so we got to see that happening and got to talk to the fisheries biologists that are overseeing that effort. Got to see some of their eggs in production and some of their nursery ponds. I'm not exactly sure what they call them, but got to see lots of fish. And then we moved on to their first plant number 1, where they have 2 25 megawatt generators, and both of them were operating when we got to tour that plant. So it was noisy. We had hearing protection on, but it was fascinating for the team, and it's always fascinating for me to be in a hydro power plant. So not all, but the vast majority of Jefferson PUD's energy comes from Bonneville system, which is a little longer drive than this, but this is like basically a microcosm of how all of our resources are generated. And oftentimes when I'm seeing federal projects, I don't also get to see the fish facilities that are trying to replicate and augment the impact that dams have on the fish upstream and downstream passage and their ecosystem. So we got to see all of that, kind of the package deal of the hydro being generated and the fish being stewarded on site. Ken, you had a question?
Yeah. When was that originally constructed?
1925 is when the first power plant went in and when the transmission line got built across the peninsulas all the way to Tacoma, and the longest crossing.
That you pass on the 101?
That was probably 1927. It was, I don't know that was built slightly after the upper power plant. So between 25 and 30, I don't know the exact date.
And was that originally constructed for Tacoma?
It was, the project was initially conceived for Seattle City Light, and they pursued it, and then they ran into the roadblock that was the Tacoma Narrows crossing, and they felt that it was infeasible. So they stopped and they went and developed another project. And then Tacoma picked it up, and so it was originally developed by Tacoma Power, even though the initial concept didn't initially start in Tacoma.
In Seattle.
It started in Seattle, but Tacoma was the one that got it done. And by building that line, that created Peninsula Light Company. So there was no electrification anywhere in the Gig Harbor Key Peninsulas prior to that line being constructed. And the farmers in that community saw these lines and said, it'd be wonderful to have electricity. And so they worked a deal with Tacoma, and that's that.
And that's Penn Light when
Peninsula
it
Light also
started.
started in about 1925.
Interesting.
And they just had their 100-year anniversary a month ago.
And I'm sorry, they have a share, Penlight has a share of that project.
They do not. They
Just are a customer at Tacoma okay.
Peninsula Light and Jefferson PUD basically take the same Bonneville product, which is a full requirements customer. They happen to be connected to the line, but they're a Bonneville customer. So anyway, that was a fun time for touring, but we also had business to do. So the team is going through a strategy refresh. So Jefferson PUD created our strategy in 2021, and it's time for a refresh. You have a different general manager, and it's the 4 years later. It's a good time for a refresh. So we spent the rest of the afternoon discussing challenges that we see in our 4 business lines and what we see coming on the horizon, what we need to prepare the utility to adapt to the coming environment. And then we spent the rest of the time recognizing what we felt were our strengths, our weaknesses as an organization, and what externally we saw as threats and opportunities for us to prepare for. So we're still working through that. We haven't consolidated that or prioritized it yet. It was a long day, so more to come on that. But very thankful to Tacoma Power for hosting us, and we tied up their staff for
Sure.
most of the day.
So I had a couple of questions. Could you say again how many folks went and kind of what level of folks went? And then if you could just talk a little bit about when you kind of finish going through the work you did that day, how might you bring the board into kind of the discussion of those issues to hear kind of what staff thought of, just so we could benefit from that.
You bet. So there was 13 of us, I believe, on the trip. Jameson just went for the first part to take some pictures, but basically it's the executive team, which is my direct reports. During Jean's leave, she had Jennifer stepping in for her. So for continuity, we had Jennifer there as well. So yeah, so it's basically the team of leaders that report to me, so the executive staff. As far as the process goes, we're going to finish we're going to identify and prioritize these strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Then we're going to set I'm thinking between 3 and 5 objectives. This is TBD. So this is my vision for it. How it actually manifests is going to be, for those of you who are listening and going to hold me accountable, there's some space here. I'm predicting the future, not saying exactly how it's going to go down, but there's going to be some objectives that we set forth. And I want it to be a limited set of objectives that are achievable and allow us to focus, because you can't focus on everything all the time. So we're going to identify about 3 to 5 objectives. Objectives are not bodies of work. They're just what we need to position and be prepared to strive for. Then we're going to come up with initiatives underneath those objectives. And those are the bodies of work that are going to move us in the direction of said objective. So we're going to draft that plan. Then I'm going to bring that to you for consideration and your feedback. The commission is the voice of the customer. So I'm going to expect the voice of the customer to influence this plan. Then we're going to take your feedback, incorporate that into the plan, and that's going to be our strategy refresh. That's my game plan.
Great.
That's going to set in motion these initiatives that we're going to start preparing the utility to meet the challenges of the future.
Commissioners, any follow-up questions?
Yeah, I'm going to dig a little deeper on this one. So, per our governance policy, we're supposed to review the strategic plan every year, and we have not done that. And like you said, we're 4 years in. So I'm just curious about the timeline and the timing here of whether or not commissioner input should come a little earlier than that, because again, the commission does set the strategic plan goals and the goals for the general manager, which we really have not done yet. So I don't want to see us start down for priorities that may not be the priorities that the board looks at. So I'm just kind of curious about the timing here of when commissioner input should really be part of this process. So I have nothing against what was proposed. I'm just asking the board, what you guys think about the timing of that.
Well, and I think the strategic plan is also partly a product of the past administration with board input. And I'm looking at this as Joe is now the head of the, administration under us. And I'll be interested in, what he comes up with from this deep staff work, plus looking at the strategic plan, plus providing us a lead, which I think we're going to do soonish, having probably an executive session with Joe to kind of go over how we evaluate him. And I think that first meeting will probably be pretty process oriented, addressing things just like you're talking about. How do these things fit together? And then how do we come out of it with a cohesive plan of what we're doing, and whether that's a 1-year timeline or some of it's a longer timeline. So I don't know if that answers that's my thought on it. I don't know if Joe, if you have any thoughts yourself.
Again, timelines, I'm just kind of curious about what kind of timeline we're.
Yeah, and
looking
I
at.
guess I thought we had talked about an executive session to start talking about your process, and was that like
I think
later in October?
21st, yeah.
October 21st. So I think October 21st would be kind of the first opportunity to have like a 3:00 session to begin talking about that. Okay, please continue.
And I am fine with the process, but very much interested in seeing what is generated from the staff and being able to react to that.
And I just think it's great that it's not just a top-down vision. You're going to folks who've worked here for years and have lots of impressions and ideas. So I think it's great engagement.
Yeah, and I don't see us doing what we did in 21, where we brought in a consultant, Kirk
Right.
Gibson, and not expecting that we're gonna go through that, but I think we're gonna have to tweak a few things in the strategic plan. Obviously, broadband wasn't even on the board at that point, if I remember back correctly.
Right.
So there's some things we'll have to discuss, but one of the things Joe alluded to there was, are we the voice of the community, or are we gonna take community input in this process? That's the second question I have. So, because the public's gonna want to know, how are they gonna be included or engaged in this process? We're talking about staff, we're talking about
Right.
commissioners and the GM. What role will the public play in this particular process, this go around when it comes to the strategic plan?
Sure. And I think that would probably come once we've had a chance to look at it. And we typically have done workshops where we can focus in on like one topic like that and use that sort of thing for public input. So I think they'll definitely have bites of the apple. Joe, have you done strategic planning before? So,
I have. I've done it enough that I'm not feeling the need to bring in a consultant.
Okay, so you
Maybe
can help
maybe
lead
my
us.
team will disagree, but that's
Okay.
that's where we're at right now.
Great.
I'm not sensing a gap there. I'm comfortable leading and facilitating the effort so far.
Right. Well, please continue with your report.
So I wanted to recognize the great performance of the crews last week when we had a significant blow. We had 37-mile-an-hour gusts come through the service territory and impact. I think there was over about 3,500 customers that were impacted by I'm going off memory here, that were impacted by the wind. And all our crews came back. So the timing of the wind was such that our crews had already gone home, and their dedication to coming back to work, and in most cases they worked till midnight, restoring all customers before the beginning of the next day, was admirable. The fact that they did it safely in difficult conditions, dark, windy conditions, shows great discretion and safety practices on their part to know when they can fly and when they need to work from the ground, and what's safe to work in those kind of conditions, and what they needed to defer until the wind backed off. So just very much appreciate their commitment and their ability to get our customers back in service and in a timely and safe manner after that wind. Yeah, again, 37 miles an hour, but gusts with fully loaded trees. That's any utility is going to have a significant impact from that.
Those were strong winds. I remember them.
Mhm.
The house is rocking.
So it's Public Power Week, and it's also Customer Service Week. So we have a number of activities planned this week, celebrating the great work that our customer service team does. Sent them an email this morning, but we have more importantly, we have some festivities and an opportunity for them to put management in a dunk tank, I believe, on Thursday afternoon. So yeah, proceeds for the privilege of dunking some of us will go to our local charity. What's the, I forget the name of our,
Cap or who
not,
is it?
not United Way, but what's our United Good
There you
Neighbor.
go.
Thank you. Sorry, I'm stuck on United Way. Yeah, so that's where the proceeds, I understand, are going to go. Anyway, so just there's three things that we need to do well as a utility. We need to be reliable, we need to be affordable, and we need to deliver great customer service. And Gene's team, in my opinion, and I think others as well, knocks it out of the park in delivering customer service. They are members of the community. They know the community well. They feel accountable to the community, and they deliver excellent customer service. And I'm proud to work alongside them. And this is something that I think our community doesn't frankly know what they don't know. And I have worked around other customer service teams. This is next level customer service being delivered here at Jefferson PUD. So
Well, I'm sorry I'll be out of town because I would like to test my arm against the dunk tank. But
I'm sure
I will
Jim's
not
going to
be
get it
here.
on
When was
camera.
that?
Well, if I showed up, I'd probably end up in the dunk tank too. So that's it.
You probably would, yeah. And yeah, you'd take one for the team there,
That's
Jeff. I
right.
know.
Put on my Detroit Tigers shirt and see.
Yeah. Wanted to appreciate Will. He showed up at a broadband conference and participated in a panel session on critical infrastructure, the foundation and capacity to innovate. So our team is recognized as industry leaders in this place or in this space. And yeah, thanks to Will for helping others learn from our experience in deploying broadband. And we also received 2 first place awards and 1 second place award from the Northwest Public Power Association annual communications conference. So this also speaks volumes about Will and Jameson's communication to our community and recognized among our regional peers for delivering great communication. So that is, sorry, I was going to turn it over to Jose to give us an update on CaliPoint.
CalPoint is back online. We replaced the well, the downpipe, all of that. We have a planned outage here in probably a couple weeks on the pressure side of things, just to get in and tie in some valving and do some of that kind of stuff. But we'll schedule that and let everybody know. Fire department, CalPoint, all them, but we're back on.
So it sounded like we were able to, Joe was able to tell me a little bit about some of the things we found, but do we feel like we've been able to address some deficiencies that we didn't know about? So do we feel like we know the system better and like it's more up to our standards?
Absolutely. When the pipe was pulled out, I mean, you could tell it was past its time to be replaced.
And there were issues with the backup generator too, weren't there?
There isn't a backup generator there.
Oh, okay.
But well, so Jose's talking about some improvements that were made to the wellhead to make it more efficient. So there was a new motor being installed, new pump, and we're putting in a booster pump to repair the one that was repaired. What's still there's still remaining work to be done. We still need to confirm that from the after action review that vulnerability that took out that pump doesn't exist in other pump heads. So we aren't done with that. We're only about 10 days or so out of the crisis. We still need to visit the lessons learned with other wellheads to make sure that risk doesn't exist.
So it was wiring on the pump. It wasn't a generator.
What it was when we lost a phase. So that's a 3-phase pump. So when you lose one phase, the other 2 phases, the motor still has the same load, and it's drawing a lot more current unbalanced, and it's very stressful on the motor and the electrical windings in the motor. So you need to trip those things off, and you need to have protection to trip them off. And if the protection doesn't trip off before the motor fails, you have a problem. And that was the problem we experienced. So we had dated protection on that motor. Today's protection systems are more sensitive and would generally take the pump out before that happens. That's what we got to visit in our other pump locations to make sure that they're adequate.
And then do we have any sort of Eagle Ridge update?
Non-parks.
Waiting on parts. Okay. Any other questions?
So, and,
We're moving forward with you, Rich.
okay, good,
I've communicated with, Francis.
excellent. Lower Adelma Beach.
We're working that out. That's with engineering.
Okay. And one of the last things then is the replacement of the booster pump at Calipoint.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
But we have fire flow, right?
We have fire flow.
excellent, very good, thank you.
Yes, good job on that. Go ahead.
You know, challenge general manager and Jose for a little bit of background, because the board's gonna be hearing, I got a PIF board report about a project that we're gonna be involved with. Give a little bit of background on what led up to that project, and I'll.
So is this the cool scene thing?
This is the cool
Can
scene.
we hold off on that?
Up to you.
And the only reason I say that is we're gonna have to pick priorities, and I think that doing the commissioner report,
Okay.
and if cool scene, I think is gonna be a big discussion. I got a little bit of a
Okay.
heads up on that too.
Okay,
So,
well, like I said, I'm gonna have a PIF report, so it would help to have a little bit
Okay.
of background, but
Okay.
that's fine.
are we done with staff?
One more.
Okay.
Gene has an update on.
Real quick, we're seeking community input for our clean energy implementation plan. We're looking to get some help identifying vulnerable populations within our community. And the types of energy efficiency programs that they'd be interested in seeing us develop. We're gonna go out, and do 3 separate, just meet and greets, make ourselves available. On the 15th of October, we will be at Jefferson County Library on Cedar and Hadlock. On Thursday, the 16th, we will be at the Quilcene Community Center. And on Friday, the 17th, we will be at the Port Townsend Community Center, and we'll be there 2 hours each time. We're getting the word out. We've reached out to Cindy Jane, and she's helping us on that end as well.
Okay. And are you also, I assume you're also reaching out to like the charitable organizations, like,
Absolutely,
and the
yes.
Holy Caps and the places that folks often go to. So you're getting their comments and thoughts too. Okay, great.
Sorry, Jeff, I forget to state obvious things
Yeah,
sometimes. Yes.
It's not obvious. Okay. Anything else, Joe?
That's it for staff.
Okay, yeah, and then just on time, we have one item on the business. I don't think it'll take that long. I just want to make sure we get done before 5 so we can do the hearing as scheduled. So Dan, you want to go first on commissioner
Yeah, I'll
reports?
go first. So I
Okay.
got a little bit of catch up to do.
Yep.
But I want to get it out of the way.
Yep.
So I attended the Energy Northwest Board of Directors special meeting on September 10th. I was in Wenatchee on the 15th and Douglas County in the 16th doing the Waputa, the executive board goes around and sees all the different utilities and asks questions and catches up with them. So I got to experience some of those board meetings at the other utilities. I won't go into any more detail than that. Attended the Waputa monthly meetings, which were in Moses Lake on the 17th, 18th, and 19th of September. At the Commissioner's Education on September 17th, we took a tour of the Grant PUD, Larry Chapman's potato farm and business. That was interesting. We also took a tour of the Wanapum Dam and visit to the Wanapum Tribal Heritage Center. That was interesting. Very moving and informative to learn about the Wanapum Nation and their relationship with the Grant PUD. So that's enough detail on that one. Attended all of the Waputa committee meetings on September 18th. Attended the Waputa Board of Directors on September, was that the next day? Can't keep track of it all. On September, must have been the 19th. The building, I need to touch base a little bit about the building. There's an ad hoc committee we're working on. There's going to be some work have to be done on the building, and we're forming a plan for long-term maintenance of the building. And it's going to get into the millions of dollars eventually. So more to come on that. And they have new renters in the building, so revenue is up a little bit on that side of the equation as well. I guess that's enough about that one. Visited Asotin and Franklin PUDs on September 22nd, 23rd, same thing. Checking in with those utilities as part of the executive board with Waputa. On September 24th, attended the Energy Northwest Board of Directors Zoom meeting on the SMR conditional approval process. A lot of questions on that one about liability for the individual members as that moves forward. A lot of questions about the financing and things like that. Commissioner Hayes from Clallam has asked a lot of good questions, and the staff, Energy Northwest staff, is working on some of the legalities, but everything seems to be in order with the using the LLC and that sort of thing. But like everything,
And the LLC, the idea would be
Just
because
segregate
it's
it.
separate,
Yep.
it's any liability would stop there
Right.
and wouldn't flow through to the larger Energy Northwest
right,
group. Okay.
exactly. Later that afternoon, I attended the Waputa Water Workshop opening session. Sessions were good. The general manager was there. Jose was there. I think there was a lot of good information put out that will take advantage of some of the things that came out of those meetings. What else have we got here? Attended got that one already. I met with General Manager Wilson on September 29th. September 30th, I joined the members of Waputa Executive Board to visit Kittitas County PUD, and same thing, learning about what they got going on there. Attended the PPC Members Forum on October 1st. There were presentations by the BPA on BPA transmission plans and resource adequacy concerns associated with transmission. Attended the PPC Executive Committee meeting on October 2nd. It came up that BPA would like to expedite contract signings at the earliest convenience of customers. They'd like that moved up instead of being by the December. They'd rather have us do it earlier. There's several concerns they have, and one of them was to try and make sure that everybody signed up to show what the capacity of the system is going to be and how it's being allocated.
So anything concrete in terms of upgrading transmission?
Well, they have a process, I forget, is it GAT, I think it's called, and that's where they're looking at, BPA is looking at how they can prioritize who's in the queue to get transmission where it's supposed to go, but a lot of it's going to come around where's the load needed versus where's the resource going to come from. And those are regional discussions that are taking place, and there's a lot of hand-wringing over how we're going to do it because the consensus is it's not going to get done in time. So natural gas comes up as one of the alternatives for Washington and Oregon in particular, where to deal with the resource adequacy. We're going to have to figure out where the energy is going to come from in a pinch, or there's going to be blackouts. That's the 30,000 foot level without getting into too much detail.
And do you think you can wrap up in like a couple of minutes?
Well, yeah, it'll be just a couple minutes
Okay,
here.
go for it.
Let's see, it
This
came up that BPA, okay, got that. Briefing on the Oregon lawsuit timeline in the Ninth Circuit Court came up, how that's all going to play out in the courts over, I think that spill and the fish and all that stuff. So timeline for that came out a little bit. Budget was approved for PPC with a slight increase of about $175,000 over last year. Our dues will go up about 6% across the board. I don't know if ours will be less than that or more than that. I think it's going to be about $1,500 to $2,000 more a year for our dues at PPC because it's dependent on your utility as to how much that actually is. And also they talked about the residential exchange progress negotiations. This is what happens when we don't do these every meeting.
I
It
know, that's
starts
why-
to back up. Okay, the Public Infrastructure Fund Board meeting on October 3rd. The short version is Jose made a presentation on behest of the PUD because the county has issues out at Quilcene. And so we're looking into doing a water kiosk where you would pay for the water. The PIF board is agreed. It's kind of an emergency funding. It's outside the normal process for doing this as a PIF project, but they're going to basically pony up $150,000 with maybe a 20% adder after the PUD, after Joe and Jose look into more detail about what it's going to cost to do this. And we would be reimbursed for whatever we get into it if we find out that it doesn't pencil out. You know, there's an off ramp to not utilize the funds, but we would be reimbursed. Is that accurate, gentlemen?
That's accurate. I just would add that there appears to be, in order to do a kiosk implies that there's going to be a sale. That sounds like a rate, and that sounds like it's under the purview of this commission. So we were going to do the business case, come back before you with a proposed a rate that would recover the cost of that kiosk for debate about what the rate should be before we proceed to buy anything or make
Yeah.
investments.
And do you have any rough dates on when we might be looking at having that at a meeting?
January.
Okay, that's helpful. And basically it's a spigot in the county park that's
That'd be
basically
outside of the park, right?
free and that has been used and brings up lots of questions.
I say there's more detail involved to it.
Right. Okay. Thanks for the teaser.
Yeah, we're gonna be involved as
Right.
it goes along further.
Understood.
Staff is working on it now. I attended the Jefferson County Fire Chiefs meeting earlier today. Jeff Com thanked us for our outreach and information that we put out there in regards to emergencies and weather and that sort of thing. But they're still getting calls from people who can't get to our call center or that they're calling to say their power is off. I don't know what we can do along those lines, but that's just a little bit of feedback that we got today. They appreciate everything we're doing, but they're still getting calls, so something we might look at. And they also talked about there's some wind coming. The chiefs are aware of a windstorm that's coming our way, so we should be on the lookout weather-wise for and have our crews ready to be deployed if we get some more wind.
And Joe, on that, who is the point person on staff for questions like that? Is that Gene for calls that are coming to some other organization that should come to us?
Mr. Bailey is our
Okay.
EOC
Do you
contact.
feel like
He's the liaison.
that information is getting to you, so you guys are working on it? Okay, yeah, please continue,
So
Dan.
one other thing is, and I'll attend NOAANET and the telecom workshop October 8th and 9th. I'll meet with Joe on October 13th, and I'm going to attend the Waputa Budget Committee meeting on October 16th. So at the Energy Northwest meeting that's coming up later, we have one more meeting before then. But I was mistaken before. I thought we needed a resolution. We don't need. It's going to be a floor vote on that meeting to move forward with the conditional on the small modular nuclear reactor. I intend to vote in favor of that motion. Just want to make sure you two are aware of that.
And that's that week of October 20
23rd,
something.
24th, something
Yeah,
like
and I'll be there
Yeah.
too. I mean, I think they're trying to have outside organizations like Amazon be the ones financially responsible for this whole thing. And then it sounds like Energy Northwest has the site, so there's certain responsibilities they have with permitting and so forth. So then I think they're trying to keep any costs or liability from that contained within the LLC. So given those conditions, I don't have any concerns at this point.
Yeah, and it's a conditional, moving forward conditionally with the project, with the board of directors being the driver of that.
Right.
And then next year, there's sometime, I think May or June maybe, then it will transfer, if the project moves forward, that's when they need a resolution from all the members saying we're on board or we're not on board. And then the executive board will take the reins from there
Right.
to see the process on
Right.
through. With
So I
that
think
project.
you and I can come back with some more good info from October for this board.
And then one other thing that came up at PPC, they had a document that they came up with that was in the Seattle Times, I think last week or last weekend, that I would like to have us put on our website for its information about, the talks that are going on. That we had the 1214 agreement that was put to the side by the new administration. So they're back into the courts with litigation. And so this is information that we belong to NWPPA, we belong to Public Power Council. This is something they had in the Seattle paper that I think we should put on our website so people can have information available to them that they may not get if they don't take that paper or do whatever. So NWPPA, Northwest River Partners, PPC, Inland Ports, and Washington Wheat Growers. And this was, I think, on a Seattle Times newspaper website or whatever, but
Yeah.
it was a handout they gave.
So
And
that-
asked all the members to put this information out there for the public to see all sides of the issues.
Yeah. So, and that's a big topic, because that agreement that was voided by this administration stopped the litigation, and now they don't want to comply with the agreement and they don't want the litigation to start again, which is nice try, is my response. So anyway, I think
Well,
that's a big,
I
I think it's a big topic.
I would push back that we weren't included in those talks that led to that agreement.
Big topic. I don't think we have time for that now.
So anyhow,
You got your big issues covered?
that was it. I
Okay.
said we could put this one on our website. so
I do not support that
Well,
at this
I
point.
guess Commissioner Collins, are you in favor or not of putting this forward? Do you want to?
So I've been out of town. I've not seen that, so
We can put it to the next meeting. Here, I'll pass that down. We can put it up at the next meeting for a vote if you want.
I like to read things before I vote on them.
Well, I thought maybe you had read the article in the paper, so.
So it's, if you're done with your.
I'm done.
Ken,
Yep.
it's your turn to go.
All right. I will be
And
brief.
I'm watching the time to make sure we can
So,
get done by
met
5.
with the general manager on the 9th and on the 16th. The 18th and 19th selectively attended Waputa committees and was in attendance at the ICG meeting and surprisingly had the chair part of the meeting.
Thank you for that.
And
You were a good sport.
so attended the board meeting on the 19th for Waputa, met with the general manager on the 23rd. Nice meeting with Emily Randall and people involved with our broadband project on the 25th. She seemed very interested and also knowledgeable. Met with the general manager on the 29th and had a somewhat lengthy call from a customer regarding alternatives to this Sims Way project, and then pass the information, contact information back to the general manager, whom I will meet with tomorrow and on the 14th and on the 21st. And that is about as brief as I can
Okay,
be.
thank you for being brief. I'll be brief also. On the 10th, I was at the NOAANET, or I guess I did this remotely, the NOAANET board meeting. And in addition to what Dan brought up, and we're going to talk about some NOAANET resolutions next in our business. But one of the things that they're working on and that also came up at the Waputa in Moses Lake was NOAANET has this retail service they're now providing, and they're calling it NOAANET Blue. And I had heard in the NOAANET board meetings that they're working with Chelan PD, and that's pretty advanced, and that now they're starting to work with Douglas PD, and they brought up some other ones. So I innocently, at the Waputa meetings, brought up to a couple of Chelan PD commissioners, hey, commissioner, I think it was Steve, I can't remember his last name.
Steve and Randy.
And Randy, yep, Steve, I can't remember his last, and Randy Smith.
Ken and Randy.
Separately, and they're a board of 5, so you can talk to 2 of them, and it's not a quorum. So anyway, talked to a couple of them and said, "Hey, heard that you're working with retail internet with NOAANET," and they just looked at me like I was an alien, and they're like, "No, we're not." So I'm like, "Okay," and then I pulled up, pretended I was a Chelan PD customer, and said, "Okay, NOAANET retail Chelan," and there it was. And it had Chelan PED's logo on it. And I said, "Well, here it is, Steve." And then we kind of walked through it. And what they've done is their staff is offering wholesale services to NOAANET, just like we could offer wholesale services to any ISP. And NOAANET's acting like a retail ISP engaging with Chelan PED's wholesale services. So for me, the interesting distinction was, and Randy Smith said, "I don't ever want us to be competing with private business."
Mhm.
It was just a really different business model from the way we're approaching it, where we feel like we need to provide a retail ISP option. But it was just interesting because the distinction was significant for their board, and I did follow up with their staff and NOAANET staff just to make sure that nobody got surprised by me asking this question. That now Chelan PD board members may want to know, what are we doing? So I think I didn't get anything crossed, but that was interesting. And for me, it was an educational distinction. The Waputa meetings I thought were good too, and great tours of Wanapum Dam and so forth. Enjoyed that. There was some interesting stuff at the Energy Committee. We touched on transmission, that there's some sort of transmission bill and adequacy discussion that's going to happen in this year's legislature. And there's a bill that would create a transmission authority, and it would live under the Department of Commerce. And Waputa staff is trying to push back against that to talk about giving the FSEC, Energy Facility Site Evaluation Council, authority to review transmission projects, and that they could have an energy project advocate inside FSEC. So I think Waputa staff was concerned about this idea of the legislature getting involved in this transmission adequacy issue and creating more process in commerce, which we've already had some issues with broadband, that it might not help us and it might create problems. So that was just another teaser of an issue coming along and the discussion that happened. On the 25th, the EDC board had a retreat that Catherine Burrill helped facilitate, and it was great. And one of the things that may come out of that is the executive director, David Balliff, may be talking to Joe, you, and the other executives from the port, the city, and the county about how the staffs of our organizations, as we're dealing with just regular projects, doing what we normally do, that we think about, okay, how is this economic development? And might a project be touched by the PUD and the county, you know, for permitting and us for service? And might we be looking at different parts of it and affecting a project in such a way that really makes it hard for that might be otherwise good, otherwise project to proceed? That so he may come to you and kind of talk about a little education on economic development and how we as different entities could, you know, work together to not impede good projects from happening. Just some ideas. I'll be at the NOAANET broadband workshop also, and the telecom conference. I'll be at the Energy Northwest meeting. So on the 21st, I think you and I, Dan, will both be remote then for the board meeting on the 21st.
I'd have to look.
That's Tuesday. It's Tuesday night. Anyway, I'm going to be remote on that one because the board meeting starts Wednesday morning. Energy Northwest, I think. Yeah, we'll both be remote. And that'll be, I think that opt-out is coming back, I think, is it not, on the 21st? Okay. And that's what I have. So let's move on unless there's questions. Okay, moving back to the agenda. Somehow
Consent
it
agenda.
disappeared. Thank you, Ken. So we have consent agenda as the next item. Do we have any issues with consent agenda, or can we get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second for the approval of consent agenda. Please approve consent agenda. Please indicate by saying aye.
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 Aye. Consent agenda is approved. Then the first item after that, we only have unfinished business, and that's the NOAANET interlocal agreement. And when I saw this, I texted Joe and said, haven't we already approved this? And then I went ahead and called Joel to just ask. And it just sounds like there's just some little things just to verify that we've done everything we need to do. So I'll turn it over to you, Joe.
Yeah, or Joel can handle this as well. It appeared that we had authorized me to sign an interlocal agreement, and I think they were wanting to make sure that as a board member, you were authorizing it as well. So now we're just making sure that either one of us can authorize the interlocal agreement.
Yeah, so there's nothing new. It's still just the amending the interlocal agreement that NOAANET currently has with all of its members. And there was some dated language in there that referred to BPA power lines, and they want to refer to broadband communication as the primary term. So it's just updating terms, and it allows entities like Broadlink, which are not power utilities, to become members of NOAANET. And NOAANET was initially started thinking that it was going to be benefiting power utilities, and now we're realizing that there's many public communication agencies and tribes who could really be natural partners for NOAANET who are not power utilities. So nothing has changed. And I think this is just a safe vote to make sure that whoever they need to have signed something, whether it's Joe as the member rep or me as the board member, we're authorized to do it. And I think the board members voted at 1. So anyway, whatever they throw at us, we'll be able to approve.
Yeah. Joel, anything to add to that?
No, I think you just want to, it seemed to me that you had signed it, Joe. Is that right?
Yes, they were asking general managers to sign it, so I was signing it. But I think Jeff was the one who was authorized from the previous one.
So I think, a motion to ratify the general manager's signature on the NOAANET interlocal agreement would be appropriate.
We actually have a recommended motion in the agenda.
Perfect. Sorry.
I'll just read it. It says,
Yes.
recommended action is to make a motion to authorize the Board of Commissioners NOAANET board member, Commissioner Randall, and or Jefferson County PUD General Manager Joe Wilson to sign NOAANET interlocal agreements or amended agreements as presented. So that's a recommended action.
Works for me. Thanks.
And there was this issue too of whatever we amend and sign and gets approved, we need to post on our website as a updated interlocal agreement. And Joel, you told me that yes, we do that. So that's
Yeah, I mean, that's our obligation for any interlocal agreement that we have needs to be posted on our website.
okay. So commissioners, do you have any questions?
So I'll move that the Board of Commissioners of Jefferson PUD approve board member Commissioner Randall and JPUD General Manager Joe Wilson to sign the NOAANET interlocal agreement as presented.
I'll second.
Okay, motion is second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion is passed. We don't have any other new business, correct? So our board meeting on the budget hearing will start at 5, and we now stand adjourned until that special meeting. Thanks, everybody.